Hello everyone, I'm your host, Aiden Armbady, and today we'll be discussing the history and ecological consequences of the whaling period from the 17th to 20th centuries. All sources for this podcast will be linked in the video's description. Without any further ado, let's dive right in. Get it? Whales, dive, I'll stop. So for a brief history, coastal cultures from around the world have been hunting whales since prehistoric times. Hunting was done in these early cultures for sustenance. Some of these early whaling cultures actually still exist today, and we'll talk more about that near the end of this podcast. Commercial whaling, selling blubber and meat on the market, got its start in the medieval period by the Basques, who live in northeast Spain and southwestern France along the Bay of Biscay. In this bay, they would mostly hunt Atlantic right whales and the now extinct Atlantic population of gray whales. When the Americas were discovered by Europeans, this caused a huge boom in the Basque whaling industry, particularly in Newfoundland. The British colonies in North America, which would eventually become the United States, succeeded the Basques as the main whaling power in the 17th and 18th centuries. By the 1700s, Atlantic populations of whales were in decline, so American whalers began looking for new locations all around the world. By the mid-19th century, American whaling fleets operated in nearly all of the world's oceans, including the Southern and Indian Ocean. So, why were whales even hunted in the first place? So, whales were hunted for a variety of body parts that had profitable uses. The main driver of the whaling industry was whale oil derived from blubber. Before electricity and fossil fuels, this oil was used as the main fuel for lamps and candles. The industrial age saw the accelerated use of whale oil as machine lubricant as well. Baleen, or whale, they called it whalebone back in the day, even though it's not actually bone, it's a modified skin tissue, was prized for being both a flexible and firm material by the fashion industry. Its main use came in making corsets. A corset is a woman's garment that is designed to make the waist appear smaller. Modern corsets are not made of whale baleen, however, but they're made of synthetic materials designed to mimic its effects on the figure. Whale meat was eaten in Europe during times of famine and war. During World War II and up until 1954, when beef was rationed in Britain, the British Food Ministry promoted corned whale meat called, get this, Whacon, as a nutritious beef alternative. So the main instrument whalers used to kill whales are harpoons. So whalers would send out small ships of their fleet to surround the whales, and harpooners would penetrate the whale's blubber and drag it closer against the ship, but this wouldn't kill it. The whale would thrash around until it was exhausted, and then the whale was dispatched by being stabbed in its vital organs, and would die of blood loss. Sometimes this dispatching was done using a bomb harpoon that would cause the organs to explode. In 1848, an African-American blacksmith from New Bedford named Lewis Temple invented a new type of harpoon. This harpoon, dubbed Temple's toggle iron, would pivot on an axis at a 90-degree angle. This made it nearly impossible for whales to escape, and became the standard design for the next 100 years. In the 1860s, more powerful rocket harpoons were invented, which allowed whalers to hunt the faster and larger rorquals, like humpbacks and blue whales, much more effectively. So, the whaling period saw the near extinction of sperm whales, right whales, blue whales, gray whales, and several other species. For example, blue whales numbered nearly 340,000 in 1890, and by 2001, that number was closer to 5,000. The near removal of an entire layer of the ocean ecosystem caused cascading changes in ocean ecology. A 2005 paper by Whitehead and colleagues examined changes in orca diet, showing that the destruction of whale populations forced northern hemisphere orcas to hunt smaller prey like sea lions and sea otters. A 2010 paper by Pershing and colleagues showed alterations in ocean carbon storage with the loss of whale biomass during the whaling period. This was not a very large alteration in carbon storage, relatively speaking, but the authors mentioned maintaining healthy and whale and fish populations globally is a viable carbon initiative to help the ocean store carbon. So, how did the whaling period end? So, by the 20th century, much of what had made whaling a lucrative industry became obsolete. Electricity and fossil fuels had replaced whale oil as the main fuel source, and clothing made using whale baleen had fallen out of fashion. Conservation of surviving whale populations was also becoming a larger concern. In 1946, the International Whaling Commission, or IWC, was formed to regulate whaling and to establish wildlife sanctuaries and hunting limits. Commercial whaling was finally banned by the United States in 1986. Controversially, the Norwegian, Japanese, and Icelandic governments still engaged in whaling, objecting to the IWC. However, indigenous communities, such as the Whacon Native Americans in Washington state and the Inuits of the Arctic, are actually still allowed to engage in small-scale subsistence whaling using traditional methods. These peoples have been using these methods for thousands of years, and they're only really allowed to hunt maybe 1 to 5 whales every year. So, in the description of this video, there will be a link to Whale and Dolphin Conservation USA, which is an organization that helps protect whales from whaling. And if you'd like to donate to them to help them combat illegal modern whaling, you can do that if you check the link in the description. So thank you for listening to this podcast.